Joe, what did one saggy boob say to the other?
I can't wait to hear the answer.
You know, if we don't get some support, people are going to think we're nuts. I tell you about the time I was being arrested by the female cop in Fitchburg back in my college days, and she said, anything you say may be held against you.
Uh-huh.
I said boobs.
And then she tased you.
No, back then they didn't have tasers. I think it was just the club.
She just handed you to a larger, bruder male police officer.
And he put his boobs on me.
Man.
Welcome to Fitchburg in 93. Hello, everybody. This is Jacques.
I'm Joe.
And welcome to Carnival Personnel.
Wow.
Joe, how are you?
Great.
You having a good week so far?
Everything's fine.
Couldn't be better. Couldn't be happier.
Couldn't be happier.
So we'll start off by we'll start this podcast where the last one left off when we were talking about our big date night last Saturday, going to the 25th version or anniversary show of Dennis Leary's Comics Come Home at the Garden.
Yep.
And your thoughts, your highlights, your lowlights.
It was funny.
It was funny. It was. We won't go too much into it. Michael J. Fox, we're in agreement. Should never be in front of a microphone again. Great guy. Wish him the best. But that was a tough watch. That first. Was it 5 minutes or was it 50 minutes? Because it just seemed.
Michael J. Fox was okay because when you could hear him because of his condition and he was standing at a podium, he would go off mic half the time. And when you're in the balcony and the nearest speaker is, center court, it's kind of hard to hear. But he was landing jokes. I could tell from the laughter of the people who paid for the good seats. And but then after that, they brought on a doctor who is associated with the Cam Neely Foundation, a cancer doctor. And he went on for, I think it was 2 years.
It was the nicest. It truly was the equivalent of the old vaudeville hook when Cam Neely basically came. Ralphie, get off stage, sweetheart.
It was like when Mr. Burns' birthday party was going to be hosted or have a performance by Homer Simpson doing stand-up comedy. And right before he goes on, Mr. Smithers comes on and he says, I just want to let everybody know that a dog was just run over and killed in the parking lot. And now the comedy stylings of Homer Simpson.
I mean, it did not start off with a bang, and then Dennis Leary came out and masturbated in front of everybody for about 15 minutes.
Yeah, and then he sang a song.
So he sang 2 songs.
Yep.
And
whatever. I mean, it's
fine.
You give it to him.
Yeah, I mean, because it was what he had to rewrite the words to satisfaction to make it all Boston centric and squeeze as many sports references and cultural Boston. It's fine, but the comics itself. Let's just go quickly down. Stephen Wright was great,
of course.
And who cares if he hasn't told a new joke in 30 years?
Doesn't matter.
Does not matter. My favorite.
You haven't told a new joke in 30 years.
I will fucking kill you.
His career is soared.
My favorite one of his was, Jesus loves you. But that's because he doesn't know you. There was... who you were losing your shit over somebody. Who did you really like?
Well, I really liked Robert Kelly.
Right.
Large guy. He's an actor too. He was actually cast in a couple of Dennis Leary shows like Rescue Me and I think Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll, the FX shows. But I hear him a lot on Sirius XM radio. And he's a local guy. He's from Medford. Most of these guys obviously are from the area. But he was just funny. He talks like my sister. And that's why it's hilarious because that whole cadence that he's just a smart, like, he can tell a story. He can spin a yarn. He's telling the story about how he was going snow tubing and how he's like, I don't go snow tubing. I am a tube. I mean, at one point I was hoisted in the air because we had run out of snow. Gravity was like, that's not right. And there were just so many good lines. There was, but then I was surprised to see Pete Holmes.
Pete Holmes was, him and John Mulaney were my favorite, but the Pete Holmes one and the best joke, and I don't know if he does it as a regular stand-up. I will use it the rest of my life. He talks about, in the age of consent, like he was a virgin when he got married. And goes, I didn't ask my first wife if I could have sex with her before we had sex. I asked her farther. I asked her, and then I asked her farther. And then I told him when I wanted to do it.
Well, because he didn't, he was so religious that he didn't want to have sex before he got married. So he basically said, in that kind of atmosphere, you're essentially asking your girlfriend's father if you can fuck her. And he goes, and this is the date on which I want to do it. And I want you to buy me dinner for me and 200 of my friends. Carbo load that dinner because I got a lot of work to do that night.
It was great. John Mulaney.
Oh, and I want you to walk me down the aisle.
Yeah, no, I want you to walk her to me.
Right, that's it.
And look me right in the eyes, and I'm going to say, I got it from here. It was he was awesome. John Mulaney, I didn't want to go. It was, we did have the Bob Uecker seats, which was fine. It was absolutely fine. But you're pretty much watching the Jumbotron versus watching the stage. From where we were sitting, like 3 rows behind the balcony, the pyrotechnic looks so Fisher-Price.
Yeah, it looked like, you remember the scene from the Titanic when they have the very distant shot of the Titanic that stalled in the middle of the North Atlantic and they sent up a flare and it goes, that's what the pyrotechnics look like from this where we were sitting. But you mentioned we have the Bob Uecker seats. He was a notable drunk. We had a couple of Bob Ueckers, unfunny Bob Ueckers behind us.
It's one of those things where, for a lot of reasons, I don't like to go out. And the people sitting behind us are the top. There's like 2 or 3 girls, and they're right behind us. And then their friend, their male friend, sitting the row behind them, leaning forward to talk to them, but basically putting his face right behind us. Our friend who we went with, she's all about 4'11" and like 16 pounds, and twice she turned around to say something to them. This was my highlight. This is 100% my highlight. And then about 5 minutes later, after she had twice nicely asked him, I looked at Joe and I said, should I go get an usher or should I ask them to be quiet? And Joe, doing the calculus, it's like, well, there's no upside there. And truly, it was the best dad moment. You do your impression of you.
My impression of me. I had that George McFly about to knock out Biff with one punch moment. I basically turned around and I go, hey, guys, how's it going? Hey, do you mind not talking? Shut up.
And he does the cut sign.
I did the cut sign with, you slice your throat kind of thing. And I go, thanks. And in hindsight, I noticed after I left the venue, I put my jacket behind my chair, and it was like a big kind of, winter type jacket. And it had a little beer on the sleeve, on the end of the sleeve. And I'm like, And in hindsight, I'm thinking, what would have stopped them from taking their beer and essentially dumping it onto the hood of my jacket in retaliation? And luckily, we came out unscathed. They left like, half hour later or whatever, but they stopped talking.
Well, they wouldn't have done that, Joe, because honestly, I think it was Joe, but for that brief moment, Joe was taken over by, I'm trying to think like, Joe Pesci in Goodfellas, which I'm funny to you. I mean, it was
like a Being John Malkovich moment where somebody else was controlling the hand that was giving them. Yeah, it was almost Italian, but I was Portuguese.
The dad voice, it was just.
I guess I don't know.
I thought I was getting grounded at one. I was going to stop talking to Joe during the show because I thought he was going to. Hey,
right. That's a shh. I got a whole lot of shh with your name on it.
John Mulaney was really great.
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr was good. He helped. When you leave a big sporting event or a big concert and the big push for everybody leaving at the same time, Bill Burr helped alleviate some of the bottlenecking and got rid of a good deal of the crowd.
Yeah, a little crowd thinner for you. That's nice. I mean, I think strategic. It's great because not only is he like the headliner, or like the biggest act on the thing. Maybe John Mulaney close, second.
One A.
But yeah, right. But as far as like brash, like cutting commentary, that's Bill Burr's thing. Yeah, you want somebody like that, basically batting cleanup.
He was Bill Burr. He was fine, funny, a little divisive, and he, on purpose, and he lost about a third of the room. And then he's like, you know what? I can feel a little tension in the room. Let me bring everybody back to the middle and talk about something we can all agree on. Abortion.
But they were all very poignant, not super mean.
No.
It's fine. But, it was Bill Burr. It's on brand. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
On brand.
Right.
And then it was like Kelly McFarland was another comic that I guess she was on Maddie in the Morning all the time. Or
It's not the one that I was thinking of. No, I wish it was. Yeah, no. But it was fun. It was, we went out, we met our quota of, so is that the third one this calendar year? Like,
yeah, we saw Emo. We saw Norm. And then, Comics Come Home.
Okay, great.
And then I guess we'll go to Double Dare Live in December.
Is that happening?
Yeah, there's a thing on Facebook where I said I was interested in going to see them. Anyway, yeah, Double Dare Live. Who fucking cares? Mark Summers. I care. I love him. But that's about it for Comics Come Home. What else is going on?
So tonight I'm doing the live action role playing of the movie Night at the Museum. The wife has signed the family up. There's a homeschool group that is doing a sleepover at the Christy McAuliffe Museum in Concord, New Hampshire. So that's my big Saturday night.
Have a blast.
Place is blowing up. Bad people, just bad people.
Just awful.
So moving on. Lots of times, whether it's the new Batman, the new Superman, the new whatever, fans don't like anything. Everybody looking forward to the new Batman looks more forward to shitting on whoever they pick to be the Batman or this. And most of the time, studios are like, oh, we hear you, fan base. Go fuck yourself. The people bringing us the Sonic movie did not feel that way with the outrage from fans. Was it about 6 months ago that people lost their shit?
Yep. Yeah, the first trailer dropped about 6 months ago for the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Big video game movie. Jim Carrey is going to play Dr. Robotnik, or Dr. Eggman as he was later known, because Robotnik may have been too ethnic, too anti-Russian maybe. I don't know. But they went old school, calling him Dr. Robotnik. But the notorious outcome of that trailer was that the Sonic model was horrendous. It looked nothing like Sonic. It was this weird, buff, beady-eyed,
big teeth,
like human-toothed version of what we all kind of know from Sonic. And by the way, Sonic isn't like this new character. Like, he's just finding his groove. He's just working out the kinks. No, established character. First game came out in 1991.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 25 years. Has had multiple cartoons, multiple video games, bad and good. We kind of got an idea. It's kind of like if Jesus came out, with boobs. Like, it's just like, wait a second. Now I want to be woke and all, but that's not Jesus.
That's not my Jesus,
right? So the fans were like, "What the fuck is this?" It was down. It was disliked on like probably a very close second to the Ghostbusters 2016 trailer on YouTube as the most disliked video. That and like a beheading. I think the beheading was third. Sonic trailer was second. Ghostbusters 2016 number one. But then, in a shocking turn of events, Paramount and the animation studio were like, okay, we've already worked to death our animators round the clock to make sure that this trailer drops in time to hype up for the 2020 release that we had planned, or whatever. Maybe it was coming out later this year, 2019. And they were like, hold the phone. We'll stop everything and reanimate all of Sonic. Just redo Sonic. We're going to throw out all Sonic and bring you new Sonic. We'll be back in 2 and 2. 6 months later, new trailer drops. Looks a lot like Sonic.
Yeah.
And it turns out there was the new Sonic game They came out for the Sega Genesis, and I mean not the Sega Genesis. Oh boy, it was called Sonic Mania. It came out last year. It was on like the Nintendo Switch, and it was like an old school throwback version of Sonic. One of the art designers for that was brought in as a consultant to help the animators, flesh out the model of what the 3D Sonic should look like in the movie. So yeah, they had to go to the bullpen for that one. But honestly, it looks like it's going to be a terrible movie, but at least Sonic will look nice.
It looks awful, but my kids were of those who were just, my oldest one, and I don't know if the other characters like Knuckles and stuff, he was a big Knuckles fan.
Yeah.
But they were almost brought to tears how awful the Sonic was. And so they made me watch the trailer the other day, and I was like completely impressed with like, oh, that looks like Sonic in a live action movie. It looked great.
It doesn't take you completely out of the movie. You can actually appreciate somewhat what they're trying to accomplish. And and now it looks like it's going to be a very competent kids movie. It's coming out Valentine's Day, kind of near February vacation-ish. It'll do fine.
It will do great. It will get our $40. I mean, there's like, there's a couple of movies coming out. Like the boys are like, "Oh, can we see this? Can we see this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, if your mother wants to take you to the Scooby-Doo one," but I'm not. I saw the preview. I'm like, "No, hard pass on that." But I will definitely take him to this. I will say I enjoyed very much in this trailer. Sonic was sitting there reading the Flash comics. I thought that was great.
Cute, good joke. And the trailer itself was like even beefed up and cut better than the old trailer. So they had like the appropriate songs, and it was done.
And they listened to the fans, which was nice for once. It was great, but this time it wasn't the fans just bitching to bitch. Everybody had a legit point.
Right. And they knew, and maybe I think Paramount knew, like, okay, we're not going to make our money back because there's a legitimate backlash here. So maybe we'll get our Asian animators working 25 hours a day.
Did you so do you get Disney Plus?
First day. I actually got it first day.
Okay. Did you get it, or do you get it? But you don't have Verizon or something?
No, I didn't get a deal. I just bought it.
Yeah, we already have Verizon phones, so it's like, and I would thought, oh, it's new subscribers. No, it doesn't matter if you have Verizon, you get it for a year.
I read the fine print on that because you were telling me about your deal, and I was like, okay, I wonder how that works. And it's like, I guess you have to have the unlimited plan,
right? But who doesn't have, like, if you have phone?
I don't have unlimited. I suck. I have 4 phones,
but I'm on the phone all day, every day. It's my, that kind of thing is my bag, baby.
So what happened? How did you?
So the boys have watched. I just got it yesterday. I don't know how many friends I've had reach out to me in the last few days saying, "You're watching The Mandalorian, right? It's really great." So I'm
myself included.
I haven't, but I will. But I put this on the list. It cracks me up how huge Boba Fett is. Like, and he's always been huge. And as a kid, so I'm 8. I'm 8 when I first see Star Wars. So I'm 11, 12 when Empire comes out. And that was a summer. It was just a weird sort of circumstances. We lived kind of close to the Woburn Theater, and close enough that you could ride your bike in like 1980. Was that 81, 82? 80. That was 80. So yeah, I'm 11 and we rode our bike there. I think we saw it, like Mike Sullivan and I saw it like 27 times in the theater like that summer. And my brother lived for Boba Fett. Like that Christmas got like a 2-foot, Boba Fett.
Nice.
I mean, honestly.
Worth $1,000 today.
But and I kept, I've always like, wait a minute, he was barely in the movie. Like, I don't know another character. Just recently, in Deadpool 2, there was a guy who was in like 2-3 quick scenes. There's no superpower, just this regular guy that the fans love.
Oh, like it was a Rob Delaney character?
Yeah, the guy with the mustache.
Yeah.
Like Peter.
Yeah.
People loved him.
Yeah.
Like absolutely lost his shit over him. And he wasn't like a riot, and he didn't have a consequential,
He was literally a guy.
And so I went did a little research, a tiny bit of research. I'm like, how little of a part did Boba Fett have? He had, in the original trilogy, he had 5 lines, if you consider his screaming going into
The Wilhelm scream?
the Wilhelm scream as a line. That was the only time you heard him in Return of the Jedi is, in the scene. He had 4 lines in Empire Strikes Back.
What are they?
It was,
I think I know the answer.
he's no good to me alive. No, he's no good to me dead.
Okay.
Put Captain Solo in the cargo bay. Trying to think what the other ones were. But it was like, I counted. It's like 27 words and those 4 lines.
Wow. It was like 2 haikus worth.
Right. And it's like, but somehow, and fun piece of trivia, where was Boba Fett first seen?
In the Star Wars Holiday Special.
That's probably the one redeeming.
in an animated format, but still cool.
And so, of course, like, Lucas and his reinventing history by going back and putting the scene of him in Star Wars: A New Hope and putting the Jabba the Hutt in the scene too. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and you're reminding me of something that has to do with Disney Plus that maybe you don't know about.
That they took off the original credits for the Star Wars movies?
No.
Yeah, well, they did that.
Okay, no, you don't. I'm going to spoil it for you.
Go ahead.
Maclunkey. Do you know what Maclunkey is? Okay. Breaking news to Jacques. You remember the movie Star Wars, correct?
Vaguely.
All right. There was a character named Han Solo, played by Harrison Ford. He was a kind of a cowboy. I don't know. I'll explain it to you later. I'll show you a couple pictures.
Okay.
But there's a scene where they're in this like bar.
Indiana Jones guy?
Yes. So he's like in this kind of bar setup. It's like a rogues gallery of, all these like ne'er-do-wells in this really seedy bar. They call it the cantina. Just stay with me. So they have like this scene where Han Solo is sitting at a table across and sitting across from him, or sitting down across the table from him, is this other bounty hunter, or a bounty hunter. He's this alien, like kind of green-looking guy called Greedo, and he is there to, take Han Solo either dead or alive, because there's a bounty on him, or he owes Jabba the Hutt money or something like that. I'm paraphrasing what's happening. So they're having an altercation, a little discussion. And in the original version, I'll cut to the chase. In the original version of Star Wars, before Greedo has a chance to kill him, they're having a conversation, and it's apparent that Greedo's going to shoot him. Han, under the table, points his gun at Greedo and fires away and kills him from under the table. Pretty badass.
He doesn't sound like a good guy.
No, I know. Well, he's a complicated man. And I think Star Wars historians might look back on that as one of the coolest qualities of Han Solo, but we can get into that in some other discussion. So then in 1997, when Star Wars were re-released and revamped for their special editions, George Lucas said, you know what? I didn't quite like the way Han came off kind of dickish. Let me soften the blow a little bit. Let me change things up. So what he did was that he altered it so that Greedo, a nanosecond before Han Solo shoots Greedo under the table, they made it look like Greedo shot a laser pew-pew from his gun near Han Solo's head, and then that was enough time for that nanosecond I'm talking about was enough time for Han Solo to process. Oh, I was just shot at. I should now defend myself against that laser blast that almost killed me 2 inches away from my head by killing Greedo under the table. That's how George Lucas kind of made it seem like he wasn't just a cold-blooded killer. He was shooting he was shooting Greedo in self-defense. So that was the second take. Now, there's a third version of this. Now, for the Disney Plus version, you see the subtitles of Greedo talking. You probably know the dialogue by heart. I won't bore you with that. But right before the shooting happens, Han Solo says, Greedo says something to the effect of, I've been waiting a long time for this, meaning he's going to kill him. And then Han Solo says, I bet you have. And right before any shooting happens, it cuts back to Greedo, and he says, Maclunkey, no subtitles, and then there's a kind of like a general blast, almost like a flash, and a little kind of like a poof, and Han Solo shoots Greedo onto the table. There's no laser beam next to his head, so and then he kills Greedo. But the Maclunkey is now like, what the fuck is happening? What is that? It was not even subtitled. It's a new thing. Oh, I don't know what this. That was done by George Lucas. It was confirmed. George
Lucas did it because Disney basically took over.
Right, but I think that change was made prior to the acquisition of Lucasfilm by Disney. I think
because I know. You what?
Thank
you. I haven't seen it, but I know a lot of people, and it's a minor change, but it meant a lot to a lot of people. The original Fox, logo at the head of the movie, they've taken that off and they replaced it with the Disney logo.
Oh,
and people are like, but that's part of it. Like
the 20th Century Fox thing.
So when you watch it, but
I kind of get that.
So I brought this up because I want to watch Mandalorian. I haven't got a chance, but I will. But by next podcast, is it one episode a week or is it?
It was surprising. The first episode, was on Tuesday when Disney Plus debuted, and Friday, the second episode dropped. So I don't know, but they don't say like every Friday or once a month, or it's like you wait and you just look, you just keep checking, you slave.
And
you
we will.
I will.
And I've commented a couple of times, like so many people are like, I'm glad I cut the cord with cable and save money because now all I have to do is pay $12.99 for Hulu. Like, and they listed it's like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Disney Plus. There's a couple other big ones out there.
CBS All Access,
HBO Go.
HBO Go, right?
For me, it's the DC. I don't even know what it's called, like the DCU app or whatever.
Right.
But I have that. And the guy's like, "Yeah, thank God I cut my $51 cable bill. Now I pay $58 a month for all these streaming things."
But the Mandalorian, I'm hoping you didn't see anything about
nothing.
Good.
Nope.
It's try to watch it.
Yeah,
or just
really
stay
will.
off social media.
I have. That's what when I go on the Twitter, I just quickly flip by Mandalorian, flip by.
I didn't realize Jon Favreau, this was his creation.
Oh, it's great,
and it's fucking great. It's like this. You'll love it. This is so.
Jon Favreau, does not get enough credit with. Truly, he was the foundation of the MCU.
Yeah, he and Robert Downey Jr. basically wrote Iron Man on the spot.
Well, they did not want Robert Downey Jr.
Right, but I think once they got
right, but Favreau insisted it was his line in the sand. It has to be him or nobody. Yeah, and if Iron Man doesn't do what it did, and Iron Man 2 doesn't do what it did, the MCU would not have. I mean, that was a foundation it was built on. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, so Mandalorian, great show. Also, The World According to Jeff Goldblum is a documentary series that he knows. He's self-aware. Jeff Goldblum is self-aware. And this reminds me of something we talked about briefly. You asked me at Comics Come Home, we were sitting in there just kind of BSing before the show, and out of nowhere you were like, that show Look Well that Adam West did, that pilot that he did where he was the guy who played a detective on TV that became a detective in real life or wanted to become a detective. It's like, could they do that, reboot that today? And if so, with who? And it was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I can't process this kind of information.
Like Martin Short, we thought, maybe.
Right. And then I'm watching Goldblum, according to Jeff Goldblum on Disney Plus with my son Connor, and he's giving off this weird Adam West kind of vibe. And I'm like, yes.
And then you texted
Jeff Goldblum could play Look Well. Yeah, it's a every week Jeff Goldblum discusses like a topic like sneakers and ice cream, and like he went to Sneaker Con, and it's just, and he goes and they design like somebody designs a specialty sneaker for him, and then he gets into a little bit of the history with sneakers and how how they're manufactured, and even like the psychology of unboxing videos.
Oh, I'll watch it. I love
it's 30 minutes long, and it's great
because we've talked about like how Leslie Nielsen, had a second career parodying his first career, and Adam West and William Shatner, and like Goldblum always, he wasn't as hardcore, straight, narrow as those guys was in his roles. But with The Fly and even Jurassic Park, he was kind of the straighter, But now he just Goldblums it up and everything he said.
Yeah,
was awesome. Wow, that was an abbreviated, self-indulgent theater. I'm thankful.
That was a smash cut of the first episode of The World According to Jeff Goldblum, of all of the times he pauses and makes weird sounds.
Let's back up just about a minute and a half. You pointed out that here we are at Comics Come Home, sitting up in the balcony on a Saturday night, and what's going through my mind is, if they were going to reshoot the 1991 Conan O'Brien Adam West pilot that probably only you and I and Adam West and Conan have referenced in the last 20 years, like that's our life. That's
yeah. We're just about 30 years away from being Statler and Waldorf.
I don't think it's that far.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. 30 minutes.
No, it's funny because no, that's just great, but that.
So yeah, Disney Plus. We'll talk about it more, I guess.
Yeah, no, because I'm going to watch the Goldblum and the Mandalorian.
We're about 30 minutes in, by the way, and I might edit down that little Han Solo spiel.
No, you won't. No, you won't. You don't cut into Solo. Anyways, yeah. So just moving on. After I had sent Joe the rundown, it was brought to my attention that Dunkin's has now entered the world of vegan meat.
They're just jumping on the bandwagon.
And it's funny because I was just talking about this with somebody yesterday about, how Burger King is making a big push for their Impossible Whopper. And, the fast food places, just to be really clear, don't give a shit that we're big fat asses eating ourselves to an early grave and getting fatter. And they're not doing this because it's, I don't want to say better for you, but less bad for you and stuff like that. Meat's just not a sustainable thing. And this isn't me getting out, the soapbox and going off, but 30, 40 years ago when I fell into this world, when I started finding out about like how much it cost to make meat, you know what I mean? The process and the grain and the corn and all these things. And the great thing is now that it's like, and like all good things that started out West, like, Taco Bell and a couple other places Del Taco started using it. And then now Burger King is doing it nationwide. It's cheaper for them, but they get to charge more because it seems like,
it's a delicacy or novelty,
right?
Limited time, like the McRib. But
the vegan McRib is coming soon. But that's the thing; it's like they were able to charge more. Their costs go down. It's a say it with me. It's a profit deal.
It's a profit deal.
So I just thought that was interesting. It's like, for 30 plus years, I've been waiting for the world to kind of catch up with,
Catch up.
But no, when I found out that, Burger King and Dunkin', and they're pushing it hard. Like the advertisements are all out there. So
yeah, it's bandwagony, but you're right. It's a cost thing, and it's the wave of the future. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see how Wendy's approaches it, because that's where I eat.
So we don't have to get into all the awful, but we'll blow through this stuff really quick. Did you watch any of the hearings this week?
I did.
Thoughts? Quick thoughts?
I like the well, what am I trying to say? Representative Jim Jordan, when he said
the guy who multiple times has been embroiled in a fact that he was he athletic director of was it Ohio State or big college when there was that Sandusky,
right, like a sexual abuse scandal or something
that went on for a while that he's been embroiled in.
Right. So he goes out there and he says to one of the Democratic representatives, he basically says, like, the Republicans' line is they want to out the whistleblower. They want to question the whistleblower. The Democrats are denying the Republicans the right to question the person who started this all. And Jim Jordan said that exact phrase. We just want the right to question the person that started it all. To which I forget who replied to him and who he was addressing this to, but the Democratic representative said, "You're right. And we are more than happy to allow President Trump to come out here and testify for himself as the person who started it all," which got a couple of laughs.
You know, it's going to get a lot worse for them. It's the thing is the people who testified this week. I mean, we're talking 30-plus year career vets who have distinguished careers, unblemished records. You know, the guy the transcriber we talked about last week, a war vet. You know what I mean? A Purple Heart, a 20 years in the service. You go and this ambassador yesterday. I'm not going to be able to say her name.
Jovanovich.
Thank you.
Jovanovich. Like Yankovic.
I mean, she has served as an ambassador under four different presidents, four or five different presidents. She's respected around the world. And it's funny. It's not funny, but it's the world we live in. She's being questioned, and one of the questions was about, she wanted to be backed up by the State Department, who's like, we 100% support you, but we can't come out and support you publicly because they were afraid of getting eviscerated by tweets by the president. And Adam Schiff was flat out saying, wait a minute, you're telling me the heads of the State Department don't want to say, are afraid of having their careers ruined and having, people come after them because of angry tweets by the president. And she's like, yes. And then Adam Schiff like, well, you're sitting here now, so you probably don't realize you are being attacked by the president, who
in real
time was witness intimidating. Like, and you can, I don't fucking care.
It's not intimidation if she's not reading it.
How far, Nunes' nose is up Trump's ass, but you can't spin in any way other than you are intimidating a witness in real time. And he was reading the tweets. It's like, is that to intimidate you or to intimidate other people? Because everybody in the State Department was told, nope, you can't testify. And these people are quitting their jobs to come forward and, all of these things. And she was just great. And, it's just tough because I was listening on the radio and it happens all the time. The Republicans were just trying to crush her reputation. It's like
discredit. That's all.
It doesn't matter how fake it is, right? But the thing is, these things are on the record. You know what I mean? And here's what's a great thing: in real time, as Bloat is tampering with this witness, as intimidating this witness, yet another Trump campaign advisor, confidant, loyalist,
not just Trump, but yeah.
Right, was being sentenced for the crimes of witness tampering. So, Roger Stone,
7 charges, including witness tampering, and witness intimidation. Yeah,
because he told one guy, it's like it was all in text messages. It's like, if you show up and testify, I will fucking kill your dog. And they tried to say, oh, they've been bickering like that for 20 years. They're really friends, but
right.
He was
locker room talk.
Basically, it's getting. And what's amazing, it's funny that you say that with like the locker room talk. How many people? This woman yesterday, the grilling that she got, composed. Put that that with like
Kavanaugh.
You know what I mean? And other people like Lewandowski who had to testify like recently.
Yeah. And that's the whole rap, is that you can't have women in power or they're going to put her on the stand so that they can watch a cry fest and, pull on the tug on the heartstrings. Meanwhile,
right.
Isn't that what your guy did? And he's a dude with a penis. So
this is now the 6th, Stone being convicted is now the 6th high-ranking campaign person found guilty or pled guilty. There's still there's 2 yahoos who got arrested last week, Giuliani's buddies. There's Giuliani. You can list, there's, Donald Jr. There's another 5 or 6 people who are going to be tried at one point or another. But right now, And these are all these. This was in Florida. I think this in Florida. Where was this case? Where was Roger Stone? Because I know he's in Florida. Maybe it's DC. But some of these people have been found guilty. Like Manafort was in Virginia and in New York, and same thing with Michael Cohen and stuff like that. This isn't like, oh well, they keep getting tried in the same federal court system that's very left leaning or whatever. They are 6 for 6. They have not charged anybody in this country. And when I say this is 6 campaign managers. This is Cohen. It's
people connected to the Trump campaign.
Like the campaign managers, like 2 of his campaign managers are in jail now. Michael Flynn is still waiting sentencing. This doesn't count the Russian spy that they got or the 29 people that will never face trial who are the Russians. But although Bob Mueller's thing got blown up by Barr, and congratulations to him for making it go away. But everybody who's been charged has been found guilty. And I was playing this little game with All-Star Tommy the other day on text, and we'll play it right now. So there's 6 for 6 people in jail. My favorite tweet yesterday is at a rally. There's a picture of Stone holding up a Hillary for Jail 2016 T-shirt. With all the Benghazi hearings, how many people have gone to jail?
0.
But okay, no, right. I'm sorry. I meant the emails. How many people went to jail over the email scandal?
Let me just pull up my calculator from the nerdery. 0.
Oh, yeah, but way back when they had the whole Whitewater thing, how many people went to jail for that?
Jacques, you're dicking with me now.
So, I'll just leave it on that. But it's like, all these people are going to jail, and these people who are coming out, he can't eviscerate all these people. I mean, he's trying to, but their credibility. And the only thing that I was listening to a couple shows, people are getting fatigued with all these investigations and all these hearings and all this stuff. I'll make a deal. Stop fucking breaking the law. Stop robbing banks, and we'll stop arresting you for robbing banks.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny how there's like so much time to fill on these talk shows and these pundit shows where you have to also say, are we getting tired of all this crime that we're punishing people for? Are we going to get, is the audience that watches nightly news getting bored with all the crime that's happening? Are they getting fatigued? Is the impeachment inquiry even worth it? And it's like the big thing is that it didn't have enough pizzazz. The first day,
right?
It didn't have enough pizzazz. I don't know how that got started.
Well, they were sitting in the balcony, so the pyrotechnics down the stage.
They had those Statler and Waldorf seats. Whatever.
But I mean, but like I said, there's sadly more to come. With that, I want to touch on this real quickly. We were on the same page with Bloomberg. Just fucking stay home. Deval Patrick, it's like, dude, no.
It's just a matter of him, obviously wanting to get back into the political arena, and maybe he's just doing what everybody on the Republicans' side were doing in 2016. Get their name out there. If somebody wins, I get a cabinet position or whatever. Cozy up to the win.
Are these people running for vice president? Well, he's running. If anything, he's running for vice president. He does not have a big stature outside the New England area.
Right. He's Obama's friend. But
right. Cory Booker has been out there for. You go down the and I don't want to say B list, but the tier 1 is definitely Bernie, Elizabeth Warren and Biden.
Tulsi Gabbard.
I hate you so much. But anyways,
she's going to be in the next debate.
I know, but he.
What's happening?
I hope they stop being nice and just like, listen, Putin's pet. We don't. There's already one Putin. But I did want to talk about that with the awfulness. It's not getting much play on the media, and it can't, Joe. I mean, everything can't be a huge fire. But something happened this week that I think. It goes beyond the impeachment. It goes beyond this administration. It's probably one of the darkest moments in our U.S. military history that is not getting any news time at all. When we were working with the Kurds, remember the Kurds? Remember those people?
Yes.
We built an Air Force base.
We built an Air Force base
in Syria, where we've been. You know who occupies that Air Force base now?
No.
The Turkish Erdogan gave it to the Russians. Like literally said when they came in to slaughter all the Kurds that we abandoned, and they abandoned the Air Force base, and the Turks took it. They said, "Oh, well, now that we're partnered, and don't forget, Turkey, Erdogan, who was at the White House this week, the dictator of Turkey, for those who don't know, they have been buying weapon systems, anti-aircraft."
Yeah. Anti-ballistic or anti-aircraft missiles or something. Yeah.
A NATO nation
Yeah.
is buying Russian technology. You know, which to make the technology work, you have to put in. Basically, you have to give our trade secrets to them.
Yep.
But it's not getting any attention at all. The fact that the Russians now occupy a military base that taxpayers like you and our soldiers have paid for and built, you know, in the Russian flag. Because Erdogan, who took it over, the Turkish, decided, well, we're partnering with Russia on this war in Syria, helping keep Assad in business. Go ahead and land your helicopters and your planes here and proudly fly the Russian flag. Have you even heard that that's happening?
No.
Look it up, but I'm not kidding. U.S. Air Force Base was given to the Russians by Turkey this week. And
Great.
It's not getting any attention, you know, because we're too busy focusing on, and rightfully so, the impeachment. And the other thing that is not making much news, but is kind of, under any other circumstances, would be the biggest news story of the year. There was another email scandal. A bunch of troves of emails have just come out.
Oh, you're talking about Steven Seagal?
Oh, wow, that's pretty good.
I've been sitting on that for like 8 months.
That is pretty good. But that's the thing. It's like, obviously, he's a white supremacist. Obviously, he's
not Steven Seagal, Stephen Miller.
a white national, you know, and he's an awful person with this draconian, you know, fuck every immigrant you possibly can. It's literally steal their children. You know what I mean? We are the boogeyman. Yeah, but a trove of his emails came out where it was like it covered like a good 4-year period of time where he was trying to, I don't know if he was trying to get a job with Breitbart, but he was sending in articles and corresponding with writers, and it is the most white supremacist, like taking white supremacist documents and forwarding them, quoting from white supremacist handbooks, and dude, that's the guy who is head of our immigration.
Yep. Yeah, we got bad people in this administration.
So Russia,
really bad.
Yeah. So literally, you know, and again, enough with the Russian
Look,
stuff.
just because we're running concentration camps doesn't mean we're the new Nazis. Okay?
No, I would give you a round of applause. This is the last thing. I'm going to move on. I saw this twice in 1 week. A woman's making around on different talk shows, talking about people who have like sensory issues and stuff like that and loud noises, that maybe instead of clapping at like concerts and sporting events to use jazz hands. And I swear to fucking God, the first time I saw that on Twitter, I went to look it up. I'm like, it's got to be in The Onion.
Right. And it is not. So, you know what? People, they have access to the social media. They got access to whatever. You're just throwing out ideas, spitballing, man. You know, it's every voice is equal. Everybody has great ideas.
No.
Oh, wait,
no. The idea of, somebody hits a home run. Jazzy.
Right. Right. It's a long fly ball.
Crowd goes nuts.
Right. Here's the radio. Right. If it stays fair, it's a home run. Yastrzemski wins it.
Jazz hands on a podcast is just
right.
There's no close second. You know, we've already done a self-indulgent theater with your Jeff Goldblum mashup. It was just pretty good. That's going into the repertoire.
Yeah. Well, you know, I could. Yeah.
Are there any predecessors to like Netflix streaming services that haven't made it that maybe we could hit up for defunct sponsorships?
I don't know. I'm going to skip defunct sponsors.
You think so?
I think I'm going to phase out the defunct sponsor. I know it's a hallmark of our institution that we've created here, the empire that we've built.
Killing me.
I know, but you know what's killing me? Looking up defunct sponsors. Oh my God! You know I'm running out of defunct sponsors. I'm going to have to start making up sponsors.
That sounds like work.
Yeah, I don't want to work. I just want to bang on D-drum all day.
Okay, so then we can move on to sport.
Yay!
Have you followed the Don Cherry situation?
I know of it. He said something anti-immigrant, like these people should be wearing a certain thing on a day.
In Canada, they have Remembrance Day. It's their Veterans Day. And you wear a red poppy, which I guess is a flower. I'm learning about this in real time.
Poppies will make them sleep.
And, you know, it's like, look, I get it. I get the putting the support your troop, you know, ribbon bumper sticker on your car. I remember talking to my mom about that. I'm like, well, how does that support the troops, Mom? Like, you gave $5 to the person at the convenience store, and they bought those for 50 cents. You bought it for $5. How does any of that money go to Wounded Warrior? Like, how are you? But on the other hand, then you hear people are like, when they see it, and
you know what supports troops, by the way?
Not sending them to war.
That and paying taxes.
Yeah, there you go.
Tax money. You know, all right.
Like the guy in the White House.
Yeah, exactly.
Pays taxes.
Right. That's fair. Yeah, everybody pays their fair share of taxes, and that's how we support troops.
So for those, you know, nobody who listens to us probably doesn't know who Don Cherry is, but I'll be very quick. He, you know, minor league hockey player, very famous coach for the Bruins in the mid-'70s, very flamboyant, but for 40 years he's been the voice of, you know, he's been part of Hockey Night in Canada. He has this thing called Coach's Corner. I think in 2015 or 2016, there was a poll in Canada, and it's funny because Dave Foley on his show, his podcast, try not to say that's the name of the podcast, look it up, it's great, talked about this, like the list of like the greatest Canadians of all time, political, scientists, war heroes, you know, of course, hockey players. Don Cherry is considered the 7th greatest Canadian of all time. This is like of 2 or 3 years ago. He's old, white guy, and yeah, he's anti-immigrant. And I you know, it's funny, you know, we have a old friend from hockey. He's not around anymore. Well, he's around, but he's, you know, and he used to call like Vancouver, Vancouver. It's like, you can't live there anymore. It's all this. Yeah, it is a very diverse city. You know, it's, but all of Canada is, you know, our friend Biff, you know, is from Toronto by way of Japan. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a great place. It's a bigger melting pot than we are. So Don Cherry is upset that immigrants come over and on Remembrance Day that they're not spending the $2 to wear the poppy. You know, it's like, we're paying for your way of life. You know, you enjoy, what did he say? You enjoy our milk and honey. And you know, we support, you know, our wounded and, you know, brave men and women gave their life for you to have this life here. The least you could do is wear a poppy. Now, Don Cherry has always been xenophobic. He, as a coach and then as a broadcaster, he openly felt when the Europeans started to come over that they were killing the game of hockey. That first of all, they're taking jobs away from Canadian boys. That first and foremost, that these Russians and these Swedes who are coming over are taking away Canadian jobs. He literally openly for 40 years he had
no problem taking over an American job when he coached the Boston Bruins, but we'll gloss
Colorado
over that.
Rockies, right?
Yeah, gloss over that.
You know,
how funny is that? Don Cherry's anti-immigrant. I think I'll go to another country and make some money.
Right?
Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So
he's not anti-immigrant. He's anti, you know, them,
not white immigrant.
Yeah,
people from those shithole countries.
Right.
So he very openly has said, at the same time, the European players coming over with all their skating and passing and shooting, you know, it's like, no, literally he thought that was going to destroy hockey. And it has destroyed hockey. It has taken away the goons. You have to. I mean, it's changed hockey for the better. I mean, it's a different era, ushered in large part by the Swedes and the Finns and the Russians.
He
coming
wanted
on over.
30 teams, 30 clones of the Philadelphia Flyers.
30 clones of the Boston Bruins.
Bruins.
Yeah, he thinks all rosters should be made up of 20 Terry O'Reillys and two who was the goalie, the crazy goalie, Billy Smith.
Oh, I thought
Billy Smith was just brutal. Like, I mean, literally, he was. I put him in a ring with anybody. Anyways, so I'm not surprised, but it did.
Where are we going with this?
It hit home because, of course he goes, I've loved the guy forever. Like, I have a couple of his books. I grew up loving the guy. One of his books, Grapes of Wrath, that was his nickname. Grapes of Wrath, funny play on the word. Great story, great character. I love that book. One of the first books I ever read. Of course, the day after he was fired, or 2 days after he was fired, goes on Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
And in the interview with Tucker Carlson,
did he bump Tulsi Gabbard?
He went out of his way to tell Tucker Carlson how Bobby Orr is one of his biggest fans. And I'm like, that could be true. Bobby Orr is an old, rich white guy. I don't need to know that. I don't want to know that. And let him say
that's Bobby Orr's story to tell.
Yeah. And don't. And then, but Bobby Orr has come out in support of him saying, hey, Don Cherry's a really great man. And 2 years ago, he was voted like the 7th greatest Canadian, not alive, not now, ever. So, but it is.
That includes the founder of Canada.
It's and like I was talking to Biff about this, and Biff was saying, I guess the network that he's on, I think it's SN, I think it's sports, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
They paid NFL money for the NHL. Fun fact, Joe. The NHL is not the NFL, and they're dying, and he's like their highest paid person. So it's like, it's
a coincidence.
This probably isn't a good. It is not a great thing for him to say, and the fact that he's been unapologetic about it, and he could say, look, you could say the same thing in other ways that they're less offended. It's like, I wish the people who came to the country understood we have this way of life because of these brave people. It'd be nice to see people supporting this. And I would get it. I would get saying it a different way. But again, he has a history of like, he was like one of the last people. I'm trying to think when he gave up coaching. I don't think he was ever the coach of an NHL team.
That wore helmets?
That wore helmets or that had like a Russian there's pre-Russians coming over. I don't think he's coached since maybe 79, 80.
Yeah.
Like he left the Bruins and went to do the, I think it was it was 5 years. I think it was like 74 to 79. He was with the Bruins and then like 2 or 3 years with the Colorado Rockies. So he's out of hockey before.
He was with the Colorado Rockies?
The Colorado Rockies, who are now the New Jersey Devils.
The old Colorado
Right.
Rockies. Sorry.
They were Kansas City. They started as Kansas City. No one needs to know this.
Yeah, I'm like, we're not going to get into the history
I know
of
it,
NHL.
and I don't know it. But anyway, so I was like,
So wait, just to put a button on it, cherry on top, if you will. Huh?
Thank you. Yeah, well done. Hold on.
Pro or con? You're pro firing, con firing?
Yeah, I mean, I think his time has passed him. I think he probably should have been phased out a while ago.
It's a little unceremonious, but it got basically the ends justify the
and it's like I said. I mean, who he is. I mean, he's 40 years of being anti. Immigrant for different reasons. But again, like you said, he lived here, made money. And when you said same thing, if Bobby Orr is here and likes Tucker Carlson is anti-immigrant, it's like, was 18 when he came to Boston and he's like 70 now. So this is more his home than like Perry Sound is. But it's like, you're still an immigrant. It's like you might be a naturalized citizen by this point. But don't be one of those people who, sure, I'm an immigrant who made money going to another country, but these fucks.
Yep. All right. So rest in peace, Don Cherry.
Did you see any NFL? We haven't talked NFL in a couple weeks, and we won't really. But did you see what happened at the Browns game, the Browns-Steelers game?
I saw the highlight of it appears to be Miles Garrett
Yeah.
is a gentleman from the Cleveland Brownerbockers who, in a last-second on-field brawl, ripped off the helmet of the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. His name, of course, being
Rudolph.
the red-nosed quarterback.
There's now.
All right, exactly. And basically, yeah, whipping him with his own helmet, which I think, aside from, I think is against the rules, which I have to check the rule book to see.
Nothing in the rule book.
But yeah, there actually is a literal in the rule book saying in the NFL you cannot use you cannot use a helmet as a weapon.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, it's awful. It's one of the worst things I've seen in football. And what makes it really awful is the fact that quarterback missed the last 4 weeks of football, 4 or 5 weeks of football with a concussion, or 2 or 3 weeks. He's been in the concussion protocol. I don't know if this was his first game back or his second game back from a concussion. I mean, the fact that he's a very out and proud, we talked about him recently, Tammy Lohan, or who's
Tommy Lohan? Yeah.
Like the younger
Tommy Lauren.
The younger Ann Coulter, you know what I mean?
The one that she's like the hot blonde that poses with guns.
Yeah, so he's a proud Trumpkin and all this stuff. So yeah, him getting bashed in the helmet, but
they say take every opportunity to punch a Nazi. We don't know if he's a Nazi. I think maybe he was being a little preemptive,
but it was bad. But the funny thing is, here Rudolph gets hit in the head, and he turns to the ref, and he's like,
"What the f?"
So how hard did you really get hit?
Right, it was an instant I just got dinged, and then he did get hit with the padded part of the helmet.
But Garrett swung it as two guys are pulling him away. He gets tackled to the ground, and the footage it gets even worse in there. There's a Steelers player who comes over and starts trying to kick him in the face. I'm dead serious. It's like if you watch more than the 5-second clip of him hitting him in the head. But then, Garrett had posted on social media, another angle from it, which, look, one doesn't excuse the other. It was horrible. He's rightfully suspended, indefinitely. He's gone for the season. And I'm 100% for that. But on the ground, when the play initially happened, Rudolph tried to pull his helmet off. It's clear as day. He gets tackled, and he's really struggling to try to pull Garrett's helmet off of him. So, again, doesn't excuse what he did, but it's was this,
I don't agree with it, but I understand.
Well, I understand it, right? So it's okay, but so what else?
All right, whatever.
So now, how about everybody's beloved Houston Astros? Are you following that?
No, I thought baseball was over, man.
So this will only be, if you get the Trump whistle out, but we'll call it the Spygate whistle. Spygate with the Patriots, to be clear, was 99% overblown and bullshit. Spygate, the Patriots were not wrong for taping the other team's play callers signaling. Every team does it, and they're allowed to do it. The year before, they said you can't have the cameras on the field anymore. It has to be up in the press box. You can videotape the other team's sideline. You can get their signal caller. And Belichick always says, the guy's out there in front of 80,000 people, with the hand signals. It's
He's not hiding it.
We're not hiding it. The year before, you could tape it from the ground. That year, they sent out a memo saying, nope, you got to tape it from up there. Belichick was just being a dick. He's just being a prick. Fuck you. This is how we've done it. It's no different. I'm going to keep doing it this way. It wasn't, and then the stories is what fucking got out of hand. People said, "Oh, they taped the Rams walkthrough." Spygate was in 2006, 2007. I'm sorry, it was the 2007 season, and that's the year that they happened. So they took away the cameras. And they went undefeated that season. So it's sure, that's why they did. But then the rumors went back. Well, they've been doing this forever. And they taped the Rams walkthrough for the Super Bowl.
Tell us more about Spygate and how that associates with the fucking Houston Astros.
The Patriots lost a #1 draft pick. It was the biggest fine in the history of football. And it didn't really happen. The Boston Herald wrote a big article that, they taped the Rams thing. And then it was completely debunked. But people don't read the retraction on page 6. It's just the headline on page. The Houston Astros pitching coach who has just come out and said, yeah, we've been stealing signals. We have a camera in center field, and we send signals by banging on the trash can in the dugout to let the batters know what pitch is coming. And
is there something in the rule book against that?
Yes, there is. Yes,
Okay.
there 100% is.
Now, why would the pitching coach say something like that?
Yeah, he just got fired or got let go, and and it implicates the current manager of the Boston Red Sox was one of their coaches a couple of years ago. So allegedly, this has been going on for years with the Houston Astros. And it is a real spygate.
Is this pitching coach retiring from baseball? Because
I think he's retired now. You're not getting another job.
No, yeah, exactly. Oh, by the way, I was complicit in this cheating scandal, and I'm admitting it, and I'm basically shining a light on it. And good night, everybody.
I saw this patch recently. May the bridges I torch light your way. But that's a real thing. That's really going on. So there you have it.
Wow.
Quickly I have followed the Celtics a tad bit. Just you hearing a couple that they're having a great season. But what I love is the big superstar who left. And the team, they were good without him. Then they get this big superstar, Kyrie Irving, who's an asshole. He's left, and the team is the best team in the NBA right now. Anyways, and then the Bruins, there was a funny quote. I'm still not following them. Fuck you for lying over and playing dead June 12th. But Biff had sent me this. Marshawn was just interviewed. He's like, Char, do you think you're going to get into the Hall of Fame someday? He's like, no. He goes, Char says you're the best player in the league right now. He goes, yeah, but he knows I'll come after him if he doesn't say that. So, but that's it on sport.
Get a move on because you got to hard out at a certain time. Don't you?
We do. Let's see. All right. Well, let's get into video games. Have you played anything?
What have I been playing? God, I thought I have. I think maybe not because I think I've only been watching Disney Plus all week.
God bless you.
I got to get my money's worth.
Well, we talked about Sonic.
Oh yeah, we talked about Sonic. Yeah, that's good enough. That warrants video game stuff.
Because we're still on lockdown until February 1st.
Good. Wow, February 1st.
That's February 1st, dude.
Wow.
And so far it's going, like I said, every week it's gotten a little better. There's those moments when there's the realization that it's Friday and I should be able to play tonight and I can't, and we have a meltdown. But yeah.
That's why you've been playing Bejeweled at the podcast every week. Uh-huh.
You like that? All right. Well, so you know what? We already covered what we're watching.
Pretty much, yeah. Just real quick, I want to make you proud. I know you've had it available on Apple, on your Apple TV for me to watch over the past couple of months or years or whatever. But now that I have Disney Plus, I'm like, I don't know. It's just like I decided to watch a couple of Marvel movies that I haven't watched. So
which one did you watch?
I watched Ant-Man 1. The 2015 Ant-Man.
Paul Rudd's great.
Yeah, great movie.
He's fun.
And Captain Marvel.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Soundtrack is awesome.
Oh, the soundtrack is better than the movie.
Soundtrack is great.
I think the soundtrack's better than the movie. The movie was okay. It was fine. It was all right. I mean, a little on the nose with the girl power sometimes, but fine. It's great. It is. Annette Bening looks great too, and was great.
She was awesome.
Yeah.
Have you seen Far From Home?
I have.
Okay, so now at the end of the movie, when you find out it's the Skrulls,
Yeah.
it's not the whole time. It wasn't him.
I like the end of Captain Marvel. So the story about how you had to fend off a scree attack is how we're going. So we're going forward with the story that your eyesight or your eye was damaged to Nick Fury because you were fending off a Kree attack. And he goes, I can neither confirm nor deny that story. Yeah, it was the cat.
That's not a cat.
I know.
That's not a cat. Every time they saw it.
Right.
Let's put that down. That's not. But what I love, so management notices these little details. In Far From Home, somebody hands Nick Fury a sandwich that's cut diagonally.
All right.
And he eats it. And she had said, yeah, I don't think that's Nick Fury. She said it right then and there. I'm like, what?
Wow.
She goes, don't you remember? And I'm like, in real time? No, I know. Maybe the third watch I would have picked that up, but she picked that up, and she had a feeling that wasn't him, like the whole time, because of that.
And by the way, the guy who plays, what's his name? It's like Ben something or other. The guy who's like the. He was in Rogue One. He was in Ready Player One.
Right.
He's like the bad guy.
Yep.
Like he was in everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
What a run.
Right. And he's I'm obviously still acting, I'm sure. But I mean, just like, oh my God, it's that guy again.
You're right. I forgot Rogue One. He was a real bad guy. Right. Huge movies.
Yeah. I think I'm missing a couple.
60, and he's like, that's when he hits a stride.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like Rodney. He didn't get his due until he was in his 50s.
But good for you catching up on them. Yeah. I like Marvel, Miss Marvel a lot. I really did.
Captain
Marvel. I really, really like that a lot. It didn't hurt when you watched Infinity War and Endgame, but now that you've seen it, it's like, okay, it ties together a little nicer and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I'll watch The Wasp eventually. Like probably, I might watch it tonight.
God bless you.
While
I'm in a museum.
Yeah, right now.
Hoping it doesn't blow up. And then so that just brings you to your parenting tip.
Ah, yes, my parenting tip. Well, Jacques, I've been waiting. How many podcasts is this now?
7,
something like that. My parenting tip is. He who smelt it dealt it. I don't know. I have no parenting tip. I'm sorry. I couldn't even vamp up to a funny line. I failed on every level. The parenting tip is don't start a podcast.
Is that what you're telling your boys?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't start a podcast. It's
don't
over.
Reach for the scars.
Reach for the scars, please.
I actually got like the scar this week.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to cut down.
I know. Hey, I listened to last week's podcast.
Yeah.
I went to the rickety stool and rope store and they were out.
Sorry, I had to stock up.
All right. Well, but fine. We got a butter knife. Let's see how far I can get. My parenting tip I'm taking from the movie Risky Business, where sometimes you just have to say, what the fuck?
Oh, I thought you were going to take those old records off the shelf.
No, I was going to get the artsy fartsy thing.
Ah, yes.
And so on Thursday was a what the fuck kind of day, and just decided to spend the day with my little guy, and he didn't know I picked him up from grandma's in the morning to take him to school. He got all dressed. We never made it to school, and we
burned to the ground.
You mess Lowell did. I told you about that. But we did. It was a really nice day, and he kept asking, like, so why don't I have to go to school today? I'm like, I just want to hang out with you today, and then. We did a bunch of like fun things, had to run a bunch of errands, went to the Verizon store. I'm like, hey, how do I get this Disney Plus thing? Do I need to change my plan to get it for free? And they looked it up and like, nope, here you go. This is downloaded on my phone. It was nice. It was really a great day. And then later that night, and he's not usually he's very emotional, stuff like that. But he just came over and he's like, Papa, this was just the best day ever. Oh. And I'm like, okay, fuck. Now he's never going to school. We're just going to do this every day. But no.
So your parenting tip is truancy?
So my parenting tip is sometimes you just got to say, what the fuck? And
we do that every podcast.
I really do. One thing during the day, I'm a bad parent. I put that right out there.
I'll see your bad parenting and raise you a scumbag.
But while we're having just a fun day, at one point we're playing, Go Fish. Got this, no, go fish. Got this, go fish. At one point, he's like, I'm going to threes. I'm like, no, go fuck off. And he just, like, the look that you have right now, he couldn't comprehend that his dad just told him, no, go fuck off.
And then you split a beer.
And yes. No, he's a wine cooler kid. So,
oh my God, he's one of those.
Yeah. We ran out of Zima. so that's my parenting tip. Sometimes just say what the fuck and go do something fun. And that's it. I'm done. Now I got to go to the museum and you got to go watch the rest of the 22 Marvel movies and Mandalorian and the rest of Jeff Goldblum.
I'm so used to watching a DeLorean man. Get it? Back to the Future.
We all get it.
Oh my God.
That racist movie
Oh God, that's
where Grady fucked the nice white town up.
Grady. That's fucking Sanford and Son.
Oh,
Goldie Wilson.
Goldie.
Grady. What, do they all look alike to you?
Yeah, I can tell those.
Chadwick Boseman.
Michael B. Jordan.
All right. Okay. We're just naming black guys now. Samuel L. Jackson. All right. Damon Wilson. All right.
Who played Grady?
He didn't play Grady.
Who played Grady?
I forget. I
Racist.
Yeah. I don't know. Garrett Morris.
He might have.
Right. He would have.
Yes. Oh.
Anyways, we suck. All right. Apple, you can cancel us now. Goodbye, everybody. So long, farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Adieu. Parting of such sweet sorrow. And if I could interject here, this is Jeff Goldblum saying, well, if you are, when you hold and you, if you can, try and maybe possibly don't forget